As one of the oldest surviving religions in the world, Confucianism is an extremely important part of today's Eastern cultures and the way they interact with the rest of the world. The founder of this religion, Confucius himself, was born in China in 1551 BC. He was a learned man and teacher, and quickly gained followers on his search for wisdom. He continued his teaching until he died in 479 BC. When a person thinks of Confucianism, they may think of an old man with a very long beard, sitting in a garden and spouting wise sayings. But what is Confucianism really about? In short, Confucianism, which was introduced to the world in the 5th century BC, is humanism. Put simply, humanism is the belief that people are the center of the universe. It's very similar to what the Greeks believed about man's place in the world, but places more emphasis on the different aspects of human relations. The Greeks believed that man is perfection, but Confucius believed that man should strive for perfection.
Confucianism leans heavily on the idea of the superior man. According to their ways, man's nature is inherently good, and every man has an innate desire towards goodness and perfection. Striving for perfection requires massive amounts of effort, and there is the idea that society will crumble if some members cannot measure up. But if everyone is perfect, society will become ideal. The problem with this is, humans are not inherently good, and are incapable of being perfect 100% of the time. This is the major flaw of Confucianism. It is based upon a very big if statement, and the real world cannot meet the standard of the required utopian ideals.
At this point, the question becomes, why would anyone want to follow Confucianism? There are a number of reasons why Confucianism seems like a good idea at first glance. Firstly, there's no need for God. If man is the highest power, then that means that God is out of a job. We don't need him. If there's no God, then man has no responsibility, and no need to follow a particular moral compass. People like the idea of being able to do whatever they want. Freedom always sounds enticing. However, when God is not involved, people tend to conform to another authority for their moral compass, whether they like it or not. That authority is society. In a society under Confucianism, the ideal man embodies poise and dignity, humility, sincerity, and benevolence, among a list of other things.
Additionally, if man is the highest authority there is, he feels powerful, his ego is stroked, and his pride is fed. Everyone likes to be on top, to feel like the best there is. With Confucianism, man is the best. He can know all things, rule all things, and do all things. Who wouldn't want that? Is a legitimate question. Unfortunately, there is the slight problem of man being flawed and fallen and unable to attain perfection. This results in a sense of failure, and since there is no way of redemption, it leaves people questioning what they can do. The results of Confucianism are much different in practice than in theory. Firstly, there's the concept of face. This idea is one that America doesn't have, and stems from Confucius' teaching. It is the moral compass of Confucianism. While it is similar to pride or dignity, it's much more nuanced, and is concerned more so with how your actions will affect what people think of a group that you are associated with. That group can be a family, clan, business, town, or even country. The worst thing a person can do is cause his group to lose face, as they say. Westerners might say they committed social suicide. People influenced by Confucianism will go great lengths to save face, or, in Western terms, uphold their reputation. Because of this, Confucianism's ethics are very situational. One reacts to a situation based on that moment's circumstances, rather than the truth. Praise, flattery, favoritism, and gifts are all things to help give and save face, even if they aren't truthfully deserved. On the other hand, criticism, improper deference to elders or superiors, excuses, anger, and blatantly saying no are all actions that cause one to lose face.
The entire concept of face is in direct opposition to Western individualism. For instance, Western travelers to Eastern countries often accuse the people of being too sensitive to criticism. We might call them thin-skinned. Criticizing people in those countries can make lifelong enemies and incite revenge. In fact, the Chinese emphasize the importance of groups so much that individualism is seen as blatantly immoral.
Because of the idea of face, cultures that hold to Confucianism are permeated by shame. Shame is the feeling of having done something improper or dishonorable in the eyes of others. the realization of having failed another. Unlike guilt, shame can be inflicted upon others as well as upon oneself. It stems from the Confucian idea that a person is always a member of a group, rather than an individual in their own right. They are expected to act in the manner that best reflects upon their group. When they act outside of this expectation, they are shamed by the group because they have brought shame on the group.
Confucius himself is recorded as stating these words: "If you lead people with excellence and put them in their place through roles and ritual practices, in addition to developing a sense of shame, they will order themselves harmoniously." He had an inkling of what the outcomes of his ideas would bring, what side effects they would have, and he still considered it to be the best belief system. Confucianism's dependence on the fear of being shamed is one of the many aspects of it that defy a Christian view of humanity. They believe that being perfect will remedy this and help to create an ideal society. But according to Romans 3:10 and 3:23, none is righteous, no, not one, and that all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. People are born into sin according to the Bible. Proverbs 51:5 says, "Behold, I was brought forth in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me." So thanks to the fall of humanity, we are incapable of achieving perfection by ourselves. In a Confucianist worldview, people strive for goodness out of fear, but in a Christian worldview, people strive for goodness out of pure love and admiration for our perfect role model, Jesus Christ, who calls us to be like him. John 8:12 says, "Again Jesus spoke to them, saying, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life."
At first glance, Confucianism may seem like a wise way to live life, striving to be the best one can and working with others to create peaceful environments. However, this worldview goes against the Bible in denying the need for Jesus' saving sacrifice. When humans deny our need for God, it creates in us a hole that can never be filled, no matter how expert our peacekeeping skills might be. Filling this gap with Jesus' peace and goodwill provides a loving place where insecurities and imperfections can be put aside, and God's perfect nature can cover our shortcomings.